Yeah, so welcome back. This is our third video for the containerized RAG AI agent, and in fact, we've looked at the RAG API, how it's all been done. In fact, I'm running this right now, so you're actually going to be seeing. Okay, so there are three queries. Uh, so this has been we saw this earlier, but right now I have to run this primarily because my UI interface is gone, which I had kept. Okay, cool. So we saw the RAG API and how that actually works. We will now look at the front end, okay, where we're using Gradio. So this is our pip install. So we've got Gradio and request. Request is the library which makes the request, HTTP request, right? So your get and post and all of that is done by the request. Okay, so we're using this, and we're passing this URL over here. Okay, directly we just hard coded this. We can send it even otherwise, right? Which is the same URL that we saw over here. This is our Ngrok, the tunnel that we're using. So we're gonna hit the same thing using this. So let's look at what this looks like. I am gonna be pausing the video right now because I want to just run this and get the UI interface. Okay, where do we actually do that right now? So okay, I'm gonna run this right now so you can actually see. Okay, I have to wait. So all of this takes time. Pretty interesting. While this happens, let me just take you through the code. Okay, I ran this again. Okay, the RAG is still running. Okay, great. So this is done. It's okay. So because we have put this as while true, it still continues to run. Okay, so all our test, everything, including the address or the pin code, is already done, right? So if I do a run over here, okay, so this is done. Okay, so we've got this. I'll come to this. Clicking on this link. uh, okay, I will take you all through this. Okay, what are the terms of the unsecured? Let me just put the same query. What are the terms of the unsecured personal loan? Question mark. So just have a look at this. Okay, so we have run this script. The RAG script is still running. So if you look at this execute, it is running. Because now that we've run the Gradio script, which is giving us this interface, I've clicked on this, it gives us in the output over here. So we could do here, but I've clicked on this link, which is giving us this screen. So it's like a chat, okay, like a chatbot types. Okay, so the reason I put this is I need to explain this part of the code to you. It'll be useful if you actually see what the screen looks like. So you've got this in the top, the title, URA bank, RAG, AI agent, Gradio, and then you've got these comments, and you've got some instruction. Then you've got a lot of text box in a row. Okay, so here's the label, and in this we've hard coded. Okay, the URL which we passed on the top, if you remember. We are not using this. Okay, we just made provision for this, and this is just a checkbox. Okay, so things happen on event. Okay, so this is all event driven. So it's an interface, right? So event driven. So you click on this or you click on the button, it'll happen. Okay. Then you have the tab. There are two tabs. This is the label for the first one and another here, and we put our query. So if you remember, it was kind of blank. Okay, so this is how it was, and I just typed this. Okay, now this is for the branch address. Enter the zip code here again. Okay, so it's like a placeholder. It is actually a placeholder. Okay, and this is like dimmed out. There is a reason I'm telling you all these things. Okay, when we look at the code, you'll understand. So once again, so we've got the title on the top, some bit of instruction over here, some text boxes, a checkbox, a tab, two tabs with title and placeholder was there. We punched in something over here. Same thing over here. This is more orange, this is more faded. Okay, after this, when you hit this, we have made provision over here, actually called markdown. You can't see this because it's not put visible equal to some value. Others, you would have seen a box over here. That's going to come after we run this, and this is where our RAG response is going to get printed out. Okay, so this is going to take time primarily because so let that run. So let's go through the code. We'll see a response over here based on the timeout, and it'll get printed in this. So you will see a response over here. Right now, there's nothing over here. You will see something over here and also in this JSON. So to try and understand this, so Gradio was as GR. Okay, so GR. Okay, GR. And this is a URL over here, Ngrok public. So we put the title over here, which is what we saw. Oh, great. You got the result also. Super awesome. So this is what I said. There's nothing over here. So the string got passed on over here with some values. So this whole thing is one bit of output, and the JSON also got printed out. So same thing, query, the response, the final answer, and the model thing. Okay, same thing. So in the code that we're actually seeing, gr.block, and we're putting this gr.markdown. Title is what we saw. Sorry, this is what we're giving over here as a title. Okay, what we're actually seeing on the screen is this hash. Because we put the hash, that's why it's bold. Okay, and we're giving this a name as demo. So in the if main, we are going to call demo.launch. Okay, so it's going to start over here and then goes through that block. That block is what we are seeing right now. Okay, then the set of comments instructions, which is what we saw. Okay, all of this. Then you have gr.row. In that, we've got a text box with the label and the value pass, which is the URL. Okay, and we're putting scale, which is the size. Okay, and then you've got another text box. Okay, and we are saying interactive is false. That's why we are really not going to be using this. This is what we saw over here, those 1, 2 box and a checkbox. This checkbox, gr.checkbox, label is this, value is what you see over here. Okay, then you have the tab. The first tab is this, right? This is what we are seeing. So when you see all of this, it becomes much easier to understand. We've given it a label and the placeholder. That's why you actually saw it initially. So if I look, so there's a placeholder, example dot, right? Same thing. Lines 3, then we are saying button. Okay, variant is primary. So the variant controls the style of the button. So that's why we have this as dark and this is a light shade. Okay, that's because we have given that. Let's hit this also. And we will, yeah, so we've got the address also. Right, so based on this pin code and the bank. So URA bank branch. Okay. Okay, so a button is get answer. Primary makes it highlighted. Secondary, if you put, it makes it a little less important. And there is a markdown. Okay, so these are the two important things. This and this is rag output and rag raw output, which is gr.json. So gr.markdown is what you saw over here. Earlier there was nothing over here because we didn't put any value. So if you put value equal to this, it forces just that box to appear. Everything else is a string that got printed out. And this is the JSON. So this is the rag button dot click event. So this particular button, okay, this button, we are calling this function. We are passing the inputs, okay, which is from the text box which we saw and the API, all of this API, and this text box, whatever you're pasting over there. So it's an event, okay. The output is rag, which is this too, okay, which got printed, this and this, which is this portion and this portion. Same thing even for this, but here, right? So we have our distinct table, placeholder, all of the same thing button, and here we're using secondary. That's why you have the lighter shape. Okay. Again, everything is same button click. Then we have created a function. Okay, where we're passing a boolean. Okay, so this boolean, we will come to this. GRR update. This is for the JSON. One is for this portion, and the second is this. Okay. So this is our checkbox dot change. So on the click event, when change happens, we're calling this function. We're passing a boolean. Okay. So if you look at this, initially it is false. This is our checkbox, the other checkbox. So it passes the boolean and makes it visible. Was it? Yes. And then, okay, so we're calling this input is that event from there. Output is this and this. So JSON output is one is for the JSON thing, the other is for the branch address. So it's primarily related to this and over here. So show JSON response, that's why we see this. So this and this. So both are for the JSON. Okay. So now let's look at this particular function call that happens. Okay, so the initial, which is when you click this, what happens? Excuse me. Okay. So it goes into this query. Okay, so it is looking for the query, right, which is what we pass in the box, text box rather. So always two things are written. One is the markdown, the other one is the JSON, which is the markdown and the JSON. Okay. So return, please type the question. So if it is not there, okay. The next is another function that we're saying. If this function, the host and the port. Right. So host and port. Where is this function? Okay. So in this, we are just putting a timeout of one response. So it's a get the host name, which is basically this. Okay, which we pass initially over here. This one. Okay, so we're passing it over here. If it is true, then return. So what are we returning? We're returning a boolean. So condition check boolean, else false. So basically, where were we? Yeah, all that scrolling certainly lose orientation. Okay, right. So it just gives it true or false. Right. Again, what is it? Return two parts. There's a comma. Okay, look at this. This is the second part. So first part is the gr.markdown, where we will actually put this, paste it over here. This is where it will get pasted. What's going to get pasted? This portion. And the second part is this. Okay. Yeah, so here we are again calling another function. Again, two things getting returned, the markdown and the JSON thing. Okay, I won't be going through the branch, pretty similar in structure, there's nothing different. Okay, so this is what we are calling. So this again calls another function to, we are getting the URL to which we are appending this, right? So this is a URL host.strip. Okay. Okay, so request.post. So it is actually going to hit the Ngrok, okay, at the rate post. And timeout is given over here. if it's hanging and all, just increase the time limit to maybe 600, 900. You can just see. If your resource, your infrastructure is good, this will easily work. And considering this is in collab, it's good. But in Docker, you may probably have to increase that. Right? If it accept again, so we're trying to get the error E over here and the return, two things getting returned, this and the JSON. Okay, whatever is coming over here dot JSON, which is what I mentioned, which is this Python object. This dot dumps is to JSON, dot loads is to this. Again, Python. Okay, so if this is not there, so this is where we're getting the whole thing in RESP, okay, which is passed on to data. Again, over here, return except, okay, if it is all working fine, you will get the 200 condition true. So data dot get index response, okay. So you remember in our earlier code, we had that index. I'll just stop this. Right, so this is what we're getting, which is what we are also pasting over here. If you actually see, look, same thing. Okay, and this is the default. So if you don't have this, then this. So data, what we passed into data is over here. Where did we get this from? Over here. Okay, so where are we? Cool. So pretty answer. Okay, we got a pretty answer. Nice name. So we put that in final output, append certain things saying Raj agent response. This again, if in the else condition, if this is not true. And then here we actually take the JSON, which is that same data, right? Which is what we passed on over here. We're putting this dot dumps is converting that into JSON. Sorry, yeah, JSON string. So we're getting those two outputs passed on over here. Once this is done, comes back into our this, and we return this and this. That loads back again to Python. So this is what is getting passed on to this output. Basically, that is what it is. So we've actually looked at our development and testing environment. What did we use? We used our FAISS API, we used Uvicorn, we used Ngrok, we used LangChain, LangGraph. We also looked at Gradio, right? A whole bunch of stuff. We also looked at the Swagger UI. So it's a whole lot of stuff. I hope it is not so complicated. Next step, we will look at Docker. Right. Till then, right. So we're done with this. Have a great time. Cheers.